Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator. Joining me is Nick Charles. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm absolutely fine. Enjoying my day. Happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it is great to have you here with me today. And I love kicking this off with just having you introduce yourself to our audience and letting them know a little bit about your background and experience.
Oh, awesome. So I'm Nick Charles. I am a Caribbean born from Trinidad. I migrated to the UK like a couple of years ago, and I am a podcaster, presenter, and full on body activist. I've always like stuck. I've always been that boy who's like love your body for who you are, and
Yeah.
just living life to the fullest in a world where it could be very draining.
It can be very draining. It can be very draining, definitely. Well, it is great to have you here with me today. Let's talk about Trinidad and Tobago a little bit. So you say you are from there and you moved to the UK. How long ago?
It's gonna be 13 years very soon in a couple of months.
13 years,
So
13
yeah,
years.
yeah.
And what prompted that move?
I think well back then when I lived in Trinidad, there was literally no like laws back for like anyone who's part of the LGBTQ plus community, and
Mm.
you could have gone to prison for like 25 years just for being out to the world. And I wasn't too keen on, being in prison just for being myself. So I kind of prompted my mom. I was like, listen, can you just like ship me away because I can't do this anymore? And after a lot of saving, I migrated. I was 21. I was an
Mm.
actual baby. Well, to me, I felt like a baby, but I kind of left my country because I wanted a better life away from like that kind of like heat when it comes to like religion and stuff, because the Caribbean could be very religion oriented when it comes to sexuality. And I just didn't want to
Certain.
be, yeah, I didn't want to be in that atmosphere. So I took myself out to have a better life. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And what was it like, being gay there and knowing that? Were you out to anyone at all? Like did you have some friends, an immediate
Yeah.
circle, to any family that you were out to?
I think I had like, so basically before I was sadly outed, which we'll get into,
Mhm.
I had like maybe two friends that know like, you have your two friends that you call and be like,
Mhm.
hey girl, let's go to the club.
Yes.
I had those two friends, and they were like, even they wasn't out. So I didn't have immediate family to tell. I think the first person to find out officially was my sister, because she had a gay best friend, and I was at a
Mm.
party that she was at, and she was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What are you doing here?" And yeah, and I was like, "Well, this is what happened." And she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even." She's like, "I never knew." So yeah, and then I got outed, so that was fun.
So tell me about this unfortunate incident of outing. What was that experience?
Um, do you know what? I always for me, I've turned it into such a positive now, because like back then it was my first ever boyfriend. I was absolutely over the moon in love with him. And he just didn't so he was out to his family and I wasn't. And there was certain situations where he will want me to be like very open with him, and I just wasn't very comfortable yet, because I came from a very religious background. Like, I was an altar boy, I was in church, I was in the choir, I was in literally every single Sunday. I was like in my Sunday best in that church, singing 10 Hail Marys and all that. It was just like, that was my life, because I came from a religious family. And he didn't like the fact that he felt like I was trying to push him into a corner, and not love him for who he is. And that was never the case. I just had a lot of fear, because I have seen how my family ridiculed homosexuality prior to me coming out, and I didn't want that for myself. Like, I knew I would have been outcast and thrown to the pack and like left for homeless. So I had to really battle that down. And he called my mom one day, because he was like, "I'm sick and tired of us just being in the shadows. We need to be free." And I was like, okay, that's fine, but in my own time. And he called my mom and told her every single thing. And I cannot tell you how when I came home from I was in school. I was 17, and I came home from school and I walk into my house. I would literally was like an episode of Housewives. All the family members are just like in this circle, like, Nicholas, we have to talk. And I was like, oh God. Now, and when your parents call you by your full name, you're in
Mm-hmm,
trouble. Like,
mm-hmm.
if heat's about to go down. So I literally told him I was gay, and then the next day I was sent to be exercised the next day, which was still to this day still feels like an absolute like episode of like Black Mirror. And I mean,
Wow.
don't get me wrong, my parents have apologized for this to this day, but yeah. And it wasn't great because in that time, like if word had got around to like police officers and to the people that deal with, they would have come to us and be like, is your son homosexual? So it
Mm-hmm.
was very much like that. And in my head, I used to think to myself, oh my God, they're going to show up at my door one day. And my family was like, you can't tell anybody, yada, yada, yada. And it was tough because I think as well, I feel like back then, being gay and black was like, you were like the dark sheep of the family. No one wants to, because back then, like, seeing you as a person or seeing you as a part of that community was just so ridiculed, and I was like, oh my God. But I live to tell the tale now and turn it into something positive, so it's not
That
all
is
bad.
wonderful that you have been
Yeah,
able to turn that into something positive. I know being from the Caribbean and being gay is, that comes with a lot. It comes with a
yeah,
lot that, you have to go through. It comes with a lot that you have to contend with, from
yeah, yeah,
family
yeah,
to religion to, the people around you to community.
yeah,
And many times, Caribbean gays have to go somewhere else to be able to live their best
yeah,
life,
yeah,
in truth,
yeah,
something that we all grew up learning to
yeah,
live in is our truth.
yeah.
But then
You
at,
have to
at, at
relearn a lot of things about yourself
yes,
as well.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
you
and
certainly have to do that. So,
yeah,
and so you moved to the UK and now you're in media. Now, let's talk about that.
yeah,
You're a presenter. Uh,
yes, which is
yes, how has that
insane.
been for you so far?
So I will tell you this, right? As a
Mhm,
child, I used to have like my little roll-on bottle. I used to be singing
mhm.
Whitney Houston in my little mom's like living room, and like wanted to really have that life. And I was like, I want to be this person. And I just never saw it because growing up in back in the Caribbean, I don't think I ever saw any apart from BET. I never really saw black presenters or black radio presenters anywhere, because it wasn't something that the media portrayed. It was very, very white associated. And I was like, okay, it's probably not me. And as I get older, I was like, right, I really want to be this. And then one afternoon I was on Google and I saw this community radio station in London during the Olympics open. Like they had like a little like after the Olympic contestants Olympiads will like run, they will like interview them after, and
Mhm.
they needed people to like join like to interview them. And I was like, oh, I could do this. um and that was back in 2012, and I had my first real taste of like interviewing and stuff, and I was like, okay, I could do this. This is fine. And then um I didn't really get anything after that. And then I just stopped because I tried to find like little like work after, which is extremely hard. And then, fun fact, I went for dinner with my my ex manager of the station I work for now, Gadio. And we were having a conversation just like as friends. And because he's my manager now, he's left. um he was like, what do you want to do? He's like, because I've seen you working at the Olympics, and I saw that you have a decent broadcasting style. Have you ever thought about being on radio? And I was like, no, I don't know. No, in my head I was like, yes, I do, but so this was like in 2018, right? And then COVID showed up and stuff like that. And then during COVID times, I got a text message from him saying, hey, we have a brand new slot opening on Gadio. We're trying to really much, really push new presenters out there. And I auditioned, And boom, I've been there since 2020, and it's been insane. Like,
I
I cannot tell
love
you
that.
the people I've met, the people I've seen, but my ultimate goal while being a presenter, because getting into media is quite hard in the UK. Like, you have to know somebody, you have to work extremely hard. Like, and I think as well, having my own podcast with my best friend Dan, where we talk about like lives of like us, because it's called Low Brown Gays, and we just talk about different things. All that kind of like contributed to me like getting my way into media. But my end game is to really like, I want to aspire the younger generation, because I know when I was younger, I didn't see that representation on radio, in the media, and anywhere. So and I think it was last year at a Pride festival. Someone walked up to me and said to me, "Hi, are you Nick Charles? I know you from radio stuff." He's like, "It's so lovely to see like a black guy on radio." He is now one of the biggest presenters on television right now, and I cannot tell you how that for me, and I was like, "Oh my god, you have a bigger role than me," which is fine. But at the same time, it's like, for you to have had that conversation with me in 2021, and now 2022, you're doing exactly what you want to do
Yes.
because you was inspired by just hearing my name on radio. I was like, you know what? I could live with that for the rest of my life. So that's all I want to do.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's my claim to
Tell me a
fame.
little bit about the show. The Sunday afternoon show on Gadia.
Yeah.
Tell me about the show. What do you do? What do you
It's
talk about? What's the whole
uh
premise?
it's a lot, it's fun.
What am I getting into when I get into it?
So on a Sunday afternoon, it's just me having a lovely time. That's why I say. So Sunday afternoon for me is like, it's the 1 to 4 slot is where people are either hangover, or they're
Mhm.
cooking their Sunday dinners and stuff, and just having a nice time. So on a Sunday, I get to interview loads of different drag queens. I get to speak to people who deal with activism, HIV campaigns, whatever is part of the LGBTQ plus entertainment
Mhm.
world at that time. I always bring it up, and I tend to get a lot of like the older crowd coming and asking me loads of questions, like, "Oh, what's this on TikTok?" Because, and I feel like it's kind of nice, because the music is for a generation. The music is for the younger generation,
Mhm.
but the content is making the older generation feel like they're part of something bigger. So it's like broadening that horizon and bringing two worlds together. So it's like having a conversation with a friend, like how you and I are now.
Yes,
I
yes.
feel like when it comes to radio, my output is very much like letting people feel like I'm their best friend when they listen to me
Mhm.
on the radio, and that's all I want, to be fair.
That's
So yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah, thank you.
That's what you ask for when you turn on the radio, to
Yeah,
feel, at home, to feel cozy,
yeah,
for
exactly. Yeah,
yes.
Beyonce said it best, cozy.
She did. She did say it best. No, you talk about the podcast with your
Yeah,
best friend, Loud Brown Gaze. How did you get
yeah.
that started?
So it's really funny, right? It used to be called something else before. It used to be called the 802 podcast, because
Mhm.
I during COVID times, I used to live in a city outside of Manchester called Liverpool. I went to
Mhm.
university there. I was doing my media degree, and Dan lived in London. And during COVID times, if you had to go see any family, you had to take one bus. Now, this bus was called the 802, which connects
Um,
both cities. So we are like, oh, we'll call it that. And then during that went really well, and we got a lot of like report people started listening. But then we decided, right, this is a great idea for a podcast, but maybe let's turn it into something that represents us. And I was like, what are we? And he just goes, well, you're very loud and I'm brown. So, and we're like, stop. The LGBTQ plus with your the LBG joins the LGBTQ plus. I was like, that's
mm,
it. There we go. And the Low Brown Gaze was born, and it's very much it's chaotic. That's all I'm gonna say. So we literally have no set agenda, no plan. We have no script, nothing. It's
mhm.
just put a mic on, put that camera on, and just hit record, and wherever happens goes. That's it. There is no plan,
I
and
love
people,
that.
I guess people enjoy that because it's raw. It's not fake. It's not like scripted, because we're making mistakes. And we have this thing where it's always been our goal whenever we do this podcast. There's no filter. Like, anything
Mhm.
goes. Of course, and what I mean with filter, you're not gonna slag you're not gonna like chat bad about someone, but you're gonna
Mhm.
make it funny. And we're gays, we're gonna be shady, and
Of
it's all
course.
unjust. Because reading is what? Fundamental.
Fundamental.
So yeah, so it's really fun. It's really, really fun.
Awesome, awesome. And what do you want people to walk away with after they've listened to your voice on the radio, or they've listened to your podcast, or they've seen you on YouTube? What's the feeling that you want them to walk away with?
I want them to feel like they have a friend. I want them to also feel like if it's one thing I want someone to take away, they hear me on the radio, is to be like, listen, life could throw you an absolute tank of hell. But what you do after that tank lands next to you is up to you to take away. So that's always been my plan, just to like find. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not positive all the time, because come on, but bad days, we all have bad days, let's be
Mhm.
real. So I've always been like that person where it's like there's always a positive in some negative. So that's what I want people to walk away with.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I want to give you the opportunity to plug everything that you do and everywhere people can find you. All right. So,
uh
where can people find out more about you? How can they follow you, keep up with you, and all the things that you do?
Yeah, so I on my Instagram and Twitter, you can meet me on It's Nick Charles. I'm also on TikTok, and I just started my YouTube channel. And if you're listening anywhere in the world, you can always visit gadio.co.uk, and you can find my show on a Sunday. You can always catch it on replay if ever you're bored. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, Nick, it's been so great getting to chat with you today.
Oh,
It's
it's
been
been
such a
lovely.
pleasure. Yeah, so lovely. And so lovely seeing another Caribbean compatriot who's gay, doing it, turning
We
it in
out here
the
doing it.
UK. Yes, yes, I love it. So thank you so much, Nick.
No worries.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Viewers, please follow Team Rayceen Productions on all forms of social media. Click around our YouTube channel and check out our other interviews, vlogs, forums, and more. And while you're at it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most of all, thank you for watching.